Hi guys, welcome back to the Knitting Expat Podcast channel. My name is Mina and welcome. This is going to be my Tour De Fleece wrap-up video. So in this video I'm going to go through my basket of Tour De Fleece spins and go through them in some more detail. So I probably should have thought about this first and put them in chronological order. So give me 1 second and I'm going to sort this out and I'll be back with you in a minute. I have everything laid out in front of me now so I can go through things in chronological order. So first things first, the very first skein I spun was this 38 gram little skein made from rolags with like green fibre and sparkle from Pixie Yarns. This was in a package that she sent me with some with some fibre to use for prizes, as well as this little selection of rolags for me to spin up. And I spun this on my Shatwick Blaze, my new secondhand spinning wheel, who I've so far named Freddie. So I spun and plied this on Freddie, and it was quite a learning experience. I have still not quite mastered Freddie, and I want to change the drive band on it to make it slightly longer, see if that makes a difference. The other thing I've noticed with that spinning wheel is the bobbins are quite heavy. So even when I have singles on it, even if I'm trying to ply it on my Kromsky Sonata wheel, the bobbin is quite heavy, and so the singles tend to break under the force of having to build the pull I have to put on it to get the singles off the bobbin. So we will have to see how that goes. And then the next thing I spun was a big spin. This was a spinning experiment. So there's actually 4 little skeins in here. There's almost 200 grams of fibre in total. So it's 198 grams, 553 yards, 505 meters total. But I split, there's 2 braids. One was a braid of Falkland from a Crafty Cat fibres, and that was this brighter sort of colour. And then I had a braid of 100% Merino, kettle dyed by my fibre share partner, but this one I bought separately from her, and that was this like darker colour here. And so I did 50 grams, or like half of a braid as a 2-ply with itself, then half of the other braid as a 2-ply with itself, and then I did a quarter of each braid, 1 ply of each ply together, and then did the last quarter of each braid combo spun together and then 2-plied with itself. So it was a really fun experiment of how the colours sort of blend together. Really love how that one turned out, and that will be used in like one whole project. Then I had some of this, I had this merino tweed top. It was just a little sample, 25 grams. And I spun the single of this on the Shatwick Blaze Freddie again trying to get used to it. And then I chain plied it on my Kromsky Sonata. And then I also had this mirror dyed 50 gram braid of Finn fibre. And this has come out to be about a fingering weight. I did a 2-ply of this. So I spun the singles for this on Freddie, the Shatwick Blaze, in again trying to get used to it. I struggled a lot with it, to be quite honest, and then I plied it on the Sonata, and in the end I got, out of 50 grams, 150 yards or 105 meters. So it's quite a dense fingering weight yarn, like grist wise, but I really like how that turned out. Not sure what this will be though. Then we have this loveliness. So this was some fibre from Hilltop Cloud that I had turned into sort of like a gradient of rolags, and I spun half on one bobbin, half on the other, and then plied them together. So there's some marling between the different colours, but there's also some parts of the colours line up, and that was kind of what I was going for with this one. I didn't want perfect colour separation, because I actually have mini skeins in these same colours from a different dye altogether, but it's just the colours have turned out the same, and I wanted to have them to be able to work together. So because I had the solid or the tonal minis, I didn't necessarily want this to be tonal as well. I wanted a bit of marling between the colours. So this ended up being 115 grams, 440 yards or 402 meters, and this is a solid fingering weight skein, which I'm very happy with. Then next up, I had another Tour De Fleece sort of set to spin, and this is from Spin Jones, another fibre dyer based in the UK that I absolutely love, and if you ever get a chance to spin some of her fibre, hop on it. It is beautifully prepped, and so this is her Tour De Fleece sort of fibre package was Zinnia Garden. It was a 140 gram bag with 7 different tops in there. So what I did was what did I do with this again? I split it in half, and half I spun cross lace as a single gradient, so straight through, and then the other half I turned into 12 rolags and gradient rolags, and I spun those cross laced as well. So I was experimenting with cross lacing to get a really fine yarn, and that's really helped. And I ended up getting I 2-plied it into this final skein. I ended up only using 10 out of the 12 rolags to ply with the single gradient, and I got 136 grams, 602 yards, or 550 meters. So this is a really solid fingering weight, if not actually verging on a light fingering weight in some parts. And then with the 2 rolags I had left, on one bobbin I did a little chain ply, and this was also an experiment to see if I could spin for a sock yarn. So this 12 gram chain ply sample turned out to be 45 yards or 41 meters, and if I extrapolate that up to be the equivalent in a 100 gram skein, that's 350 meters in 100 grams. So that's a pretty solid sock weight type of yarn. So I was very happy with that. And then we go on to another experiment. This time I wanted to experiment with long draw. So I spun up a little sample to show you guys on the vlogs how I do a supported long draw spin, and that's just a little sample bit. And then I spun up the big skein. So this ended up being 154 grams of fibre and 305 yards and 280 meters. So a really solid worsted to bulky weight skein, and I'm planning on doing something colour work related with this, which I'm really excited about. So yeah, looking forward to that. Then we did another little sample rolags, which again I tried spinning on Freddie, the Shatwick Blaze, and I plied it on the Kromsky. So that's that one. And then we had one of the mystery fibres, one of the challenge day fibres, I guess, from the Crafty Cat Tour De Fleece bundle was a Gotland sample, which I spun up, and then I think I did an Andean plying bracelet and did a 2-ply. So no, chain plied. So I chain plied this. That's that little sample. And I've just got my notebook here, so I'm just making sure I'm keeping track of everything that I'm telling you guys. So this one still needs a tag on it, but this is fibre from the Shepherd's Hut. Absolutely love her fibres as well. And this is Rambouillet, which again, I love spinning Rambouillet. It is so spongy. It really feels a bit like a sponge. And Rambouillet is essentially a kind of French Merino. Well, that's what it's also known as. And so this, I just broke it into thin strips, spun it and then 2-plied it together. It's 101 grams and I got 410 yards, 375 meters. So a pretty solid fingering sport weight. It's mostly a fingering weight, and there are some parts that are a bit thicker that's more sport weight-ish. But again, really happy with that spin. I then did an experiment spin to try a chain ply plus a 4th ply being held with it. So with a chain ply, you're essentially taking one strand and turning into a 3-ply yarn. But what I did with this was I did the chain ply, but then I also held another ply with it to create a 4-ply yarn, which turned out to be quite an interesting effect. And I think I will be doing a separate video about how I did this and doing a bigger project with this method to share with you guys at some point. And then moving on to the last few things that I spun before the end of Tour De Fleece. I spun this braid of cat and sparrow fibres. It's a 60% alpaca, 20% sea cell, 20% silk, and it's in the Zen Garden colorway. I got this beautiful skein out of it, very drapey. Get it to focus, there we go. And it is 86 grams, 193 yards, 177 meters. So even though it's a fingering weight, it's a very dense fingering weight. It's got a lot of weight. It's got a lot of density to it. Feels quite dense. But it's beautiful and drapey. Would be lovely in like a lace project. I don't know why I'm stumbling on my words this morning. I'm sorry about that. The next up we have, this was my first attempt at a sock spin, like specifically to become sock yarn. So this was a braid that I picked up from Into the World at Rhinebeck last year. It's a 100% Corriedale in the Scissors Lizard Spock colorway. and I spun it as fine as I could, and then I chain plied it, and I'm so chuffed with how this has turned out as a finished yarn. It's just perfect. It turned out a little bit thicker than I wanted, but I was spinning this during a really during a heat wave essentially. It was hot, it was sweaty, it was not a good time, but I mean, I enjoyed the spinning. The temperature, the heat wave was not a good time. But I ended up getting 345 yards, 316 meters out of 117 grams. So slightly thicker, slightly less yardage than I was hoping for, but more than enough for me to knit a pair of socks. So I'm really excited about this, and this is probably going to be something that I wind up soon and get cast on. I was waiting to film this video so I could do that. So I'm really excited about this. Then my next spin was this this skein. I'm really struggling with my words today, I'm really sorry. So this skein, this fibre was actually also an acquisition essentially. It was a gift from my friend Joe, who was over visiting a couple of weeks ago, and the fibre is 100% British wool from Babel's Travelling Yarns, or Babel's Yarns, and it's in the Calypso colourway. And I spun this up intending it to be a bit more thick and thin than it turned out, but so I spun it up a thick. That was the intention. I was planning on doing it more thick and thin, but just went with thick in the end and less thin. And I just spiral plied it with itself, and I really love how it's turned out. I didn't do any coiling or any sort of fancy techniques there, just a simple spiral ply, and I just really love the texture and effect that that gives to one of these more like subtly variegated skeins. It was just a lot of fun, a really nice quick spin, and this yielded, it was 103 grams, yielded 150 yards, 137 meters, so a solid bulky weight yarn. Then we had the last mystery challenge day fibre, which was some of this lovely brown alpaca. Let me get that to focus. There we go. This lovely brown alpaca that I also chain plied. And finally, the very last thing I spun was this beautiful braid, again from Cat and Sparrow. Get that to focus. And I intentionally spun this one thick as well. My idea was to get a thick sort of DK worsted weight yarn, which is exactly what I got, to for a hat. This is a 70% superfine alpaca, 30% Polworth. It is so soft. It's again a very dense base, and it's just so soft, and I think it would be beautiful like for a hat. A little bit more pastel than I would normally go for, but I really like these colours together. And yeah, I'm not sure what it's going to be yet. I think maybe a nice cabled hat, because it would, the cables would really pop with this lovely round yarn. Even though it's a 2-ply, it is super round. It's come out really round and lovely. So I think cables might look really nice with this, but we'll see. I haven't fully settled on that one yet either. But yeah, that is my Tour De Fleece spins. Let's see if I can get all of these into one armful to show it to you guys. Get a nice screenshot for you guys for the thumbnail. Oh geez, I am losing yarn. Let's not lose yarn. There we go, my Tour De Fleece spins, and yeah, really chuffed with them. I'm so happy, and many of them I already know what they're going to become, what they're going to be, but some I don't, so we will see. These, let me see, and these I know what they're going to become. They're either going to become socks, a hat, shawl projects, colourwork project, I don't know, I'm not sure. I think maybe actually these would go quite nicely together, the Rambouillet and that Zinnia garden, although the Rambouillet is quite a bit thicker than the Zinnia garden. Or maybe even with the Holly Festival, it would look quite nice. Actually, that's a really nice combination there. I think that would be beautiful together. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up now. My battery is dying. I feel like I have covered everything I wanted to say. If you have any questions about any of my Tour De Fleece spins, anything I've shown you in this video or any of the other vlogs that I didn't answer in any other videos, feel free to let me know again, and I will try and make sure I answer any questions that you guys have in the next video that I post. Alright, thank you so much guys. I do have a couple of other videos spinning related that are going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks, but then I'm going to be thinking about some new sort of spinning content that I'm going to do. I'm also going to be doing a knit with me video with some hand spun, so stay tuned for that, and lots of exciting things coming your way. So take care, I will see you guys soon, and bye.